What's up? It's a beautiful, rainy, rainy morning, and you can see right down there in the corner that is the canopy that the goats are hiding in the rain, hiding from the rain under. They go under there when it rains, and we can sort of keep an eye on them from up here on essentially the third floor. We have like a ground floor that's the carport, and then the second floor that's the living space, and then the third floor that's like a this like an attic that's converted into a bedroom studio. And it has been raining hard for hours and hours and hours. We do live on the rainy side of the island, but it usually doesn't rain like this hard and this steadily. It's kind of like a more of a trickle. And I was just having some morning meditation, and the sun came up even though it's hidden. And yeah, taking a breath, letting things be, giving things some space is a good idea. A good idea. Good for your well-being. Speaking about your inner being, the wellness of yourself, and good for your overall wellness, your psychological, your physiological health. Although it's really kind of a Western concept that we've integrated that into the idea of meditation. I mean, I think it's known that meditation and yoga and things like that are good for us, and yet in the East it's more of a spiritual tradition, right? It's about spiritual maturity and getting closer to God and things like that. And I think in the West, for us, like in the West is really the global culture that dominates the whole planet now, right? In the modern culture, it dominates most of the planet. It's lacking, right? That connection with our inner spirit, whether you choose to believe in God, which to me is it's like a word in the language, and it means different things to different people at different times. But whether you choose to believe in that or not, we have this innate spirit, right? We have this electricity, this nervous system. We have something that animates us. I mean, if you're a complete philosophical materialist, then everything is just an accident of the biology and the brain and the material world, like our consciousness. When I say everything, I mean our existence, our consciousness, our human spirit is like a byproduct of our biology. Even with that, it's like there's something ineffable. There's something unexplainable about who we are, about what we are. I mean, I just always felt that, and this is not something that can be really proven empirically, and we've kind of thrown out in our culture the insights from these states of consciousness that have been in like I said, in the East with yoga and meditation, and also in shamanic cultures with the Sundance rituals and wilderness rites of passage, and even with like say psychedelic ceremonies, you might call them, plant medicine ceremonies. And some people might not like me saying that, but But the shamans, they would go into these states of consciousness, and these non-ordinary states of consciousness, what modern psychiatrist Stan Grof has called holotropic states of consciousness that are oriented towards wholeness, towards the wholeness of life. And that's when I talk about getting closer to spirit, getting closer to God. That's the wholeness of life, right? That, like, everything that happens in our life is something that we can use towards our maturity, our growth as a being, not just as a physical body moving through the world trying to get things. Life is for giving, not for getting. And so our minds are not always very forgiving, but our inner being, I think, kind of knows that this life is kind of a playground. Even with all the joys and sorrows and things that can happen, this life is it's kind of like a curriculum that we take, school of life, a place for our spirit to learn and grow and eventually realize the relative truth of this plane of existence. So yoga, meditation, breathing, presence, taking a moment, taking some time to be, taking some time to be before we get into our doing. We live in a very do society. Do. And so I invite you to join me and take a breath. I was doing this by myself here as I do, or maybe practicing is a better word. Sitting here doing some breathing and just kind of following the breath. I tend to close my eyes or have them a little bit open, a little bit closed, but focusing in. Just kind of following the breath. Sometimes it's in the nose and out the nose. Sometimes it's in the nose and out the mouth. Sometimes one can't breathe in the nose and out the nose very well, and so you do the best you can to find a little channel that it will go through, or just breathe in and out the mouth. Exhaling fully really helps it. I always notice how long I can exhale when I bring my attention to exhaling fully. And it's something that's coming more into our consciousness and our culture over the past 10, 20 years, or even since the 60s, but even more so. It's become part of psychotherapy over the past 10, 20 years, meditation, part of more of mainstream psychotherapy, because it was already coming in, like I said, since the 60s. And the essence of meditation is like breathing, right? And just everything else can come up, like all the anxious thoughts or depressed thoughts or things that you don't forgive yourself for, or things that you don't forgive other people for, and things that you're worried about, what you're gonna buy your kids for Christmas, what you did on Thanksgiving, what your diet's gonna be in the new year. I mean, it can all be there, but then you just you forgive those thoughts, you let them be, you don't have to push them away, you give them some space, and but you keep returning to your breathing, you keep returning to your experience of yourself, your being in this moment. Just let it all be. Just let it all be. Breathe in and breathe out. Is this like too much? Are you here? Can you hear this? Can you take this in? It's really been something I've been coming back to more and more these days. When some difficult things came up in life, maybe some difficult post-COVID symptoms, some difficult other kinds of symptoms that I was experiencing in my body, and I don't want to get into all that right now. That could be for another video. We'll talk about getting well and things, but some really difficult stuff came up, like, wow, this is hard to live with stuff came up, and these different breathing practices really helped me to get through it, helped me to use what was coming up, to bring myself more present, more opening to what is, more loving of whatever is in this moment. In the big picture, like, we don't love it. We don't love difficult, traumatic experiences. We don't like love them in the sense that we like them or prefer them or wish them on ourselves or anyone. And yet we can open to them and give them space and accept that that's what's happening in this moment, or our memory of them happening recently is what's happening in this moment. And open to that experience and use it. You can use the things that we are attracted to, the things that we're unattracted to. You can use all of it. It's part of our growth. It's like grist for the mill for our spiritual growth. Right? So it's part of what helps us produce our ability to be more fully in ourselves. And then conversely, like I was saying in the beginning, and from our goal-oriented frame of westernized thought, it really can help us to be more well when we become more present and open, accepting and forgiving of our experience that we're having. It can help us to be more well. And yet that there's no guarantee of what will happen. But that sense of well-being, that well-being of peace, that we can cultivate that, and it can be a boon to us even later in life as we age, as we go through the pains of aging and dying. It's kind of like, which heart do you want, right? that cliche saying, but it's true in a way. It's true. A lot of the cliches are true. Like, if you grok the meaning, so it's like, do you want to put off dealing with your pain now and escape from it? You can. You can do cannabis and alcohol and watch shows, and those things can be enjoyable. And yet, if it's when you're trying to escape from something, you're doing those things more than you want to do them, maybe, that I would take a look at it and say, what is it that I don't want to open to and be present with? And maybe you know already. I certainly know sometimes. And sometimes I don't want to, and that's okay. And it's like, I encourage you to not criticize yourself. If you catch yourself criticizing yourself, see if you can disengage from that. And yet, being with whatever is, recognizing that that's what's happening, opening to it, coming back to the breath, the presence, and the things that aren't true will kind of fall away the more you keep coming back to your inner being, your presence, to giving it all some space. It's really hard for the things that are not true about yourself to stay. The more you cultivate presence, to stay in presence, it's hard for those things that are not true about yourself to be present. We could even say nothing that's not true can be present when you're really, really present. And maybe that idea makes us realize how much of our thoughts are distractions and relative truths. So yeah, let's take another breath. Exhale fully. Give it all some space. Let it all be for a moment. might notice the sounds in the background. You might hear the rain, I'm guessing. You might hear my family, you might hear your family, my dogs, or your dogs, or cars. If there's cars around you, just let it all be there. Breathing in, breathing out. You know, throughout the day, I sometimes say that to myself. Breathing in, breathing out, as I breathe in and out, because I carry that meditation with me. And even at night, if I wake up at night, breathing in, breathing out. It's a very simple mantra to come back to. It's very neutral, non-judgmental. Sometimes I might come to a little heart prayer, like when I breathe in, say I am, and when I breathe out, say loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I do these mantras so much that they kind of tend to alternate, and one will come up, or one will be in the background. Breathing in, breathing out. I am loving awareness. Or the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono mantra, it's a little longer. I guess in Hawaiian they don't call it a mantra, but I call it that. And I was taught it as a way of being with your own thoughts and releasing them, forgiving yourself for holding on to them. It goes, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. So I say each phrase with one inhalation and one exhalation. Or I inhale and then exhale each phrase. It depends on what I'm feeling. There's some spontaneity in these processes for me. It's not rigid. Breathing in, breathing out. I love you. Breathing in, breathing out. I'm sorry. Breathing in, breathing out. Please forgive me. Breathing in, breathing out. Thank you. And sometimes I do that if I'm having some difficult thoughts towards myself, regretting things I've done, kind of like perseverating, they call it, when there's like intrusive thoughts, that just kind of repeat about, things I wish I'd done differently. A lot of times, or sometimes it might be things about, my family growing up, but still, I come a lot of the times to having trouble forgiving myself for things, and that self-judgment and self-criticism. And, I admit, I still come to those things, it's like even as I've worked on them, and I've worked to disengage from them. And some of the elders and teachers that I work with will say, well, this is lifelong work, and the more aware you get of yourself, the more that most of us in our culture will notice that we kind of have this programming, and it's like this prison of these like self-criticisms and shoulds and oughts, and a lot of us just unconsciously live off of that. And rather than our own spontaneous conscience, our own living conscience, it's like this imitation, this programming that we grew up with from our schools, and the grown-ups that were around us, and it's just kind of the way our psychology is programmed. And even that doesn't need to be criticized. It's just it needs to be forgiven, open to, and worked with, and accepted, and it's part of the way it is. So, but this cultivating presence, breath awareness, is essential to me to disengaging from those type of things. I hope you can hear me with the rain. The rain is like so loud here. It's so loud. And so, it's like I hope this is helpful. I enjoy these talks. I enjoy sharing. It's like a form of online journaling to me, and it's beneficial to my personal growth. And it certainly, in a sense, it's part of my marketing. In that I have some offerings that I present online, and you can find those. But this part of it is meant to be like, like a ministry, like an online ministry, a service. I hope that it feeds you and serves you. And for so long I thought that I had to do this kind of marketing that didn't feel in alignment with what I really wanted to do. And then it's like how I'm meeting you is not in alignment. All the things that typical marketers teach, it's like, I'm sorry, but um, they feel manipulative and all these kind of things. So here I am, and we're talking about the breathing, the meditation, and enjoying it on this rainy morning. And on another day, we'll actually get up close and see the goats. They're cute. They're really cute. And yeah, more to come on other videos. I appreciate you so much. And yeah. I will see you on the next video. Aloha. I'm Tom Kirkham, and I'm on Big Island, Hawaii.